Welcome to the 2021 Texas Longhorns recruiting special. This is my thank you for all the support. I literally cannot do this without you. National Signing Day is a wrap and the 21 class is in the books. We lost players to the portal and we gained a few. And we even scored some good players for the new iteration of our walk-on program. Look, the class wasn't a home run. I gotta shoot you straight. 17th nationally, number 2 in the Big 12 behind OU. But I can tell you we do have some incredible prospects in this bunch. I'm going to go into each and every recruit, show highlights, and break down their skills. After, I'm covering transfers in and out with some prizes at the end. Do I cover the 2022 class as well? Who knows? This is going to be a full breakdown for the real Texas fans. I'm not here to just say whether a player is good or bad. That's a lazy take. I want to go into the details and see how they fit our new schemes on both offense and defense. The big question you should be asking yourself about the 2021 recruiting class: how do we make more out of less? As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so I can keep bringing you bigger and better Texas Longhorns content. Without further ado, let's get into it. Psych, you thought I was going to start the video. So we hit 1,000 subscribers in just 25 days of this channel existing. More than that by the time this video releases. And all because of you, we have a new sponsor. That's right, Last Stand Hats. I know you've seen them around social. Here's the cool part. They are giving you 10% off your hat purchase if you use promo code TexasHomer, all caps. On top of that, they are hooking up one subscriber with a free hat. Last Stand Hats are officially licensed by the University of Texas, so this isn't some knockoff gear. They have tons of designs and hat types. Remember those DBU hats you see everywhere? That's Last Stand Hats. Now, go and get your hat for the new season. They just dropped new all gas no brakes hats in Sark's honor. And don't forget, use code TexasHomer on laststandhats.com for 10% off. And now, without further ado, let's actually get into it. We landed 1 5-star, 9 4-stars, and 11 3-stars. Honestly, that's too many 3-stars. Development matters, but there's no way you are starting 11 3-stars in 2023. Next class will be mostly made up of 4-stars. Defense won the recruitment with 4 defensive ends, 1 defensive tackle, 2 corners, 2 outside linebackers, and 1 safety. Offense suffered due to negligence from the previous regime. We took 1 QB, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, and only 2 offensive linemen. We needed more offensive linemen. That's the bird's eye view though. Let's get into each recruit specifically. So we don't jump all over the place, we can break it down by both sides of the ball. Let's do something different and start with the defensive side since they did so well in this recruiting period. But our top recruit already breaks those rules because Sark said he could play on both offense and defense. So let's introduce our only 5-star, Jatavion Sanders. This kid's a freak. He does stuff like this. I would say I've never seen that before, but Alfred Collins did that in the Alamo Bowl this year. And here's a fun fact. You don't need ball security when you know the closest defender isn't within 20 yards of you. He's incredibly advanced for his age. His fluidity of movement is on par with the starting senior in college. It's not just his size, 6'3", 235-pound 18-year-old. It's the total control of his movements that makes the scouts perk up. He doesn't just catch the ball, he plucks it from the air. And here's the most important part about Jatavion. He's a dog. I know some fans won't understand this, but when you prepare to go out into the field, you need a couple guys up front who will inspire a little bit of fear in the opposing team. And he exhibits this trait. This is what the #1 athlete in the nation looks like. He led my alma mater, Denton Ryan, to a 5A state championship this year. His offensive value is significant. He can play tight end flexed out into the slot or even out wide. He's going to play both sides of the ball. He plays defensive end in high school, and he will likely be an edge rusher for Coach Kwiatkowski. He's generally more impactful on the offensive side of the ball, though. He rotationally subbed in on D at Ryan, but it's possible that's because he was already playing both sides of the ball at Ryan. We see him with his hand in the dirt on most plays, but with his athleticism, he can easily stand up and play some undercoverage for us. This is an incredibly mature player with unmatched versatility. He's the #1 athlete in the nation for a reason. Any big-time program in the nation begged this kid for his commitment, and that's because you can build around him. And that's a wrap for our 5-star, and now it's time to move to defense. Next up, we have a dynamic safety out of Kennedale High. JD Coffey is an excellent defensive prospect. This is a man safety that has to cover the entire length of the field in his high school scheme. If you break to the wrong side of the ball, you won't have time to recover with these quick throw offenses. JD does an excellent job of identifying the play side and getting to a spot to contest the reception. But he does a lot more than just swat the ball down. He's a ball hawk. Don't leave that ball hanging up as a quarterback or you're in trouble. I love a defensive back that truly believes he has just as much right to the football as the opposing wide receiver. His athleticism makes the catch, but his intelligence gets him to the spot to catch it. This kid can cover the field, but what about the run game? Can he deliver the hit? Alright, watch this running back right here. He identifies the run early and comes in to make a big hit. JD's value is especially increased in the Big 12. Offenses enjoy a healthy mix of air raid pass concepts and power runs. We need a safety who can play high, down low, and potentially as a third safety for a 3-3-3 Iowa State type scheme. JD is an excellent combination of rangy post safety who can span the field and a strong safety who isn't afraid to get into the mix. You want this kid on your team. You might recognize this next recruit from JD's commitment video. ISHMAEL IBRAHEEM is my favorite prospect in this class. Here's what you need to know about ISHMAEL. He's a corner out of Dallas Kimball with tremendous length. His most intangible trait is his aggression. Incredibly active in the run game and looking to make a hit. As a coach, you can work with this mindset. ISHMAEL isn't just a tough guy, he covers well. He's a zone corner in his high school scheme. He's off the ball for the most part, so you don't see the traditional blanket coverage. When he is in press, he can hold his own, pushing receivers outside on two high safety schemes. This kid's playstyle should earn him some reps on the inside. He definitely needs to gain weight, but he has the tenacity to step into the alley. He can help us on special teams as well. He does well on punts because he can chase down the returner and put the hit on him with a little extra pizzazz. ISHMAEL is an excellent addition to the squad. And actually, our next guy up is also a cornerback. We only picked up 2 cornerbacks this rotation, but both of them are solid. Jameer Johnson is a cornerback out of John Muir in Pasadena, California. He has the length needed as a modern corner in the Big 12, and he's a great athlete. He plays wide receiver in high school too, and he uses his speed and hands to break up passes or pick it off when he is on D. He can stay in coverage without chasing and grabbing at players. His ability to turn and run is aided by his ability to run receivers' routes for them. He doesn't panic defending the deep ball, and he's patient when he jumps for it. Jameer has excellent awareness that has allowed him to make some plays where others wouldn't find the opportunity. He traverses the field more like a safety, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get an audition at safety at some point. He's no slouch in shutting down the run or the short pass either. He tracks the target well behind the line and he can make the play in traffic. It's not just the usual rugby type of tackle. He likes to stand dudes up. Our 2 cornerbacks we picked up in this class are awesome, and I can't wait to watch them develop into starters for us. The remaining defensive recruits are the biggest group. It's a mix of defensive ends and outside linebackers. You need to know Coach Kwiatkowski's defensive scheme to understand these players' context. PK often uses his outside linebackers as edge rushers on the line. Basically, the outside linebacker and defensive end position have hybridized in this defense. So when you hear defensive end or outside linebacker, it doesn't have the traditional meaning you're used to. But let's check them out. Derek Harris Jr. is a weak side defensive end who played outside linebacker in high school at New Caney. He can be developed to play either, and he's most explosive off the edge. He times the snap well and is a step ahead of his teammates coming off the ball. He's explosive and leverages that skill to get behind offensive linemen quickly. Then he uses his long arms to blind the quarterback's passing lanes until he can sack them. Frustrating guy to have in your backfield as a quarterback. Derek's super athletic, has the length and the frame to add the extra weight to play off the edge. Currently, he's 6'2" and 215 pounds, and he moves well despite growing into his body. Derek can drop back in coverage too. He makes it easier on himself by shouldering or checking his running back within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage to slow him down. Derek can be the overhang defender or handle crossing routes up the middle. His arm span and range discourages quarterbacks from trying to fit the ball by him. Coach Kwiatkowski is really going to like this kid for his defense. Derek Harris Jr. will be fun to watch in a scheme essentially designed for his player profile and skill set. Our next recruit plays on the strong side. Jordan Thomas is a 6'3", 240-pound strong side defensive end from Memorial High School in Port Arthur. Jordan is strong. He uses that power to bull rush offensive linemen. It's not wise to leave him one-on-one because he will win those matchups with power alone. He can make the inside move and has success against the tackle guard double team. He doesn't get pushed backwards on the line and holds his ground even if he can't make his way through the offensive line. When he does make it into the backfield, he's disruptive. He is dedicated to the sack and stays on QBs until they go down. That's a big boy running right at you. Jordan doesn't give up on the play once an offensive player does get by him. He uses his motor to catch up to the action and at least join the dog pile if he can't make the tackle himself. Excellent physical prospect. But let's see what Coach Kwiatkowski does. Bo Davis might even want a piece on the interior. Now let's take a look at two outside linebackers. I told you, Coach Kwiatkowski has a lot of incoming talent. First up is Shadow Creek outside linebacker Terrence Cooks. We picked him up over Bama, LSU, Auburn, and OU to name a few. This kid is built at 6'2", 210 pounds, and plays more like a traditional linebacker, meaning he will meet you in the gap and give you a physics lesson. He excels in coming downhill. He has the look too. He's a muscled up kid with long arms and good speed. He can chase down offensive players if they break into the second and third level. He's effective against the screen and behind the line passes. He can fight downhill through traffic to get to the running back. His strength lies in his play recognition and his confidence to act on his read. His instincts do a great job of taking over. Plus, he's a great athlete. Watch him leap to make this tackle. He can come off the edge too, and he can give offensive tackles problems with his athleticism. He can bull rush and he can cut back inside if you overset. We could see him at will or even potentially Mike if the room needs depth. Expect Cook to be a starter for us in a couple years. To continue the trend, the next highest rated defensive prospect is an outside linebacker as well. Maurice Blackwell is an exciting linebacker from Arlington Martin. He has the modern outside linebacker build with an exaggerated arm length. His build can add more weight to make sure he can hold up at the college level. He can come off the edge, dog the gaps, and match up as the overhang defender. He covers space well when he drops back and will make the interception if thrown to him. Maurice excels in the run game. He will step into the middle and deliver the hit on the ball carrier. He goes side to side well, and he can clamp down and make the play after the horizontal route runner decides to turn upfield. But here's the play I think best describes Maurice. Bad snap way in the backfield with him dogging the edge. You have two choices. Go for the ball or go for the potential ball carrier. Maurice chooses without a moment's hesitation to attack the quarterback, allowing the trailing defender to pick up the ball. Do I think Maurice calculated that? Maybe. Probably not. Yet his instincts worked. Maurice is an athlete and one of the most explosive players in this recruiting cycle. Players don't realize he can close the distance on them that quickly, and he uses his long arms to get up on offensive players before they realize it. It allows him to knock the ball out fairly consistently. Look for Maurice to get involved on special teams early. He's good at tracking down the ball carrier, so he excels in punts and kickoffs. He also has the speed and dexterity to bend the corner and block punts. The first time the average UT fans see him, he will most likely be making a play on special teams. Coach Kwiatkowski got himself another Swiss Army knife in Maurice Blackwell. Behind the scenes, this is the guy that the UT content creators really like. And we finally get a momentary break from defensive ends and outside linebackers. Our only defensive tackle recruit is up next. BYRON Murphy is an all-state defensive tackle out of DeSoto. This kid is all about raw power. At this stage in his development, he's not looking to beat you with skill. He overwhelms offensive linemen, and the bull rush is his most deadly weapon. At the college level, he will need to add some more moves and better hand fighting to be effective, but for now, his power alone will do. He keeps his feet driving when he engages the linemen and generates tremendous force. Once he breaks through the line, you'll actually see he's very quick for his size. He can even chase down ball carriers on the edge when they try to break it outside. Overall, I love what this kid does to interior linemen. Bo Davis is going to coach him up and add more skill, but he's got the raw power and aggression it requires to compete with the current defensive line roster at Texas. Alright, I told you, it was only a brief break from the defensive ends. Here's the next two highest rated defensive players and the final recruits on that side of the ball. David ABIARA is a strong side defensive end out of Mansfield Legacy. We picked him up right before signing day 2. Notre Dame, Bama, LSU, A&M, and OU all offered. He's got incredible size for being a high school senior. David is 6'4" and 250 pounds. This is the prototypical design for a Coach Kwiatkowski edge rusher. At his current level, he overruns offensive tackles with his size, strength, and speed combination. He's explosive off the edge with his hand in the ground, and once he gets into the backfield, he's going to get a hold of the quarterback with his reach. We still have to clean up some technique stuff, but there's tremendous upside here. A good developmental staff will turn this kid into a straight baller. He could even play on the interior with his size. And now for the final defensive recruit in the 2021 class. BYRON SORRELL is a strong side defensive end out of New Orleans. Huge kid at 6'3" and 250 pounds. My favorite trait about BYRON is he actually looks like an adult baby. And I'm sorry I had to say that. I like his game a lot. He's incredibly powerful and tosses interior alignment around after he stands them up. He has a few good moves that he pulls out from time to time to get past O-linemen. You don't want him in your backfield because his straight line closing speed will generate the sack. He very much appears to not be fond of quarterbacks and throws them to the ground quite viciously. He can play with his hand down or standing up. This versatility makes him a strong match to what would be asked of him in PK's scheme. Great 3-star prospect who will evolve throughout the years of development. And that's a wrap on the defensive side of the ball. As you can see, we scored a lot of outside linebackers and defensive ends to fit the 2-4-5 scheme PK likes to utilize. Our corners and safety are also lights out. Defense definitely won this recruiting in my opinion. Next, let's break down the offensive recruits, starting with the highest rated. Our best offensive player is wide receiver JADEN ALEXIS out of Pompano Beach, Florida. A major issue last year was our lack of speed. Well, JADEN brings a ton of speed and a whole lot more. JADEN ALEXIS is a verified 4.41 guy, with a former NFL running back for a father. This kid has the playmaker gene. He uses his speed from outside and in the slot to burn defenders and make catches. He's only 5'9", so I expect him to see us in the slot first mostly. He has good forward acceleration for the go routes and feet quick enough to make the cuts on the breaking routes. You can also put JADEN in the backfield and send him out on long wheel routes due to how much distance he can cover quickly. JADEN isn't soft just because he prefers finesse. He's excellent at breaking tackles and throwing much larger defenders off of him. Sark's going to love having JADEN on the team. This is a player you can use very similarly to Devontae Smith. A lot of bunch formations and pre-snap motion to get him on the move in space and double moves against man. He projects as a potential NFL talent. This next recruit might be the steal of the entire recruiting cycle. Next up is our only running back, Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks is a lesser known running back from a 3A school in Hallettsville, Texas. But Stan Drayton did an excellent job of getting ahead of the curve by offering Jonathan prior to his breakout season. The 6', 185-pound back has great acceleration and he can cut on a dime. He's able to change his momentum extremely well while still moving forward. He's a finesse inside runner who uses evasion to avoid tackles, but he can kick it outside too and stretch the defense on the edges in a dead sprint. He's just simply a better athlete than a majority of defenders and can make a 30-yard run through a loaded box without getting touched. It's fun to watch. Jonathan Brooks is an excellent addition to our running back room. He can give Bajan some rest while still ensuring that we have a finesse runner on the field. He's a good foil to Rajan's bruising third down back style. This is an excellent grab by Stan Drayton. Now, having a running back doesn't mean a thing without a good offensive line. So let's introduce our first offensive line recruit. Hayden Connor is an offensive tackle from Taylor High School in Katy, Texas. He's a straight-up enforcer on the line. He blocks players with extreme prejudice and is looking to dominate them. His mindset should permeate the other teammates and give us a little added boost of swagger. I mean, take a look at this. I laughed out loud the first time I saw this clip. He's 6'5" and 320 pounds and was just allowed to see R-rated movies last year. He's massive, but when you pair it with that aggression, then you get a formidable player. For his size, he's quick. Hayden excels on run and screen blocking where he can engage instantly or climb to the second level and put his hands on smaller players. He's looking to finish the block with you in the dirt. He's so quick he can be a little overeager and arrive too early to the second level blocks. This is a good problem to have, and we will have it solved quickly by old Kyle Flood. Hayden does well in pass protection too. He can overset at times, but he's prepared to drive the defender into the ground if he attempts to go inside. If he gets you to rush long as a defensive end, he's going to shove you into the ground as soon as you attempt to wrap him. Hayden will be used in the RPO screen game due to his quickness and strength. He's good at selling the pass and then releasing it to block the screen. Hayden has options too. He played right tackle and left tackle in high school, but he could be just as effective as a guard potentially. I'm going to let Kyle Flood make that decision because I don't get paid enough. Hayden is one of my favorite offensive prospects to come through in the past 5 years due to his mean play style. And next on the list is a dynamic slot receiver. KEITHRON Lee is out of Rudder High in Bryan, Texas. This player is another favorite amongst UT media because he's just straight up fun to watch. He's 5'10" and 175 pounds, and I think that his smaller stature is actually an effective feature in his game. KEITHRON is quick, resourceful, and makes it very hard for defensive backs to get a hand on him, and he just simply outmaneuvers the bigger defensive players. KEITHRON is dynamic from the slot, in jet motion, orbit motion, and even from the backfield on screens and wheel routes. His versatility allows him to play all over the field and hybridize his role. Sark likes gadget players like this that can be all over the field without the opposing defense knowing exactly what he's trying to do. Pre-snap motion is one of the most prominent features of a Sark offense, and KEITHRON fits that description to a T. Our next highest rated offensive recruit is an exciting athlete who can play different positions on the offensive side of the ball. Juan Davis is a 6'4", 220-pound athlete out of Everman High School who actually played quarterback and wide receiver for his team. He will most likely end up in the tight end room, but wide receiver is possible. Watch his yards after catch and what he does once he has initiated the run. He runs well, has solid moves, and can bounce off direct tackles. He excels in the QB run game and the jump ball as a receiver, so he'd be a good tight end to flex out. Juan is a unique athlete who could do various things under Sark's system. But this could actually end up meaning that our tight end room has Malcolm Epps, Jared Wiley, Jatavion Sanders, Gunnar HELM, and Juan Davis. That's a giant tight end squad that will create matchup nightmares going into the 4th and 5th string. And you actually just heard me name our next recruit, Gunnar HELM. Gunnar HELM is a massive tight end from Cherry Creek High School in Inglewood, Colorado. Gunnar is 6'6" and 225 pounds already, and he's most effective in the pass game. He can play attached or flexed out from the offensive line. He's a real problem for middle field open 2-high defenses because he will work the seams until he gets over the middle, and those defensive backs don't have the size to stop him. But he's also a problem in 1-high too because he is just as effective on the outside or at the end of a crossing route. You can send Gunnar out on deep routes or let him body the defender for it on the goal line. He exhibits really good ball skills and is deceptively quick for his size. You can't miss him running down the middle of the field, yet defenders don't seem to expect him to get there. I wouldn't be surprised if he got some reps as a wideout in practice too. Another excellent pick for the tight end room, especially in the passing attack. Seriously, we have a room full of gigantic tight ends. Jeff Banks is going to get to work with these boys. And our next highest rated offensive prospect plays out wide. CAIN is a 6'2", 175-pound wide receiver from New Orleans with room to grow. Casey is a 3-sport athlete in track, basketball, and football. He does hurdles, 200-meter, and triple jumps. He has good open field straight line speed and gets good release off the ball. Casey is really effective on the outside and likes to jump over cornerbacks to make the catch, and he can potentially end up on some highlight reels. It's not absurd speed, but he is quick enough on inside routes and makes some athletic runs after the catch. He has sure hands and looks the ball in. He reminds me of Colin Johnson. Not the fastest or strongest guy, but gets to his spot and fights for the catch. This is a gigantic wide receiver room at Texas, so hopefully Casey can climb the ranks with all the competition. I'm sure he can. And now I'm proud to introduce the one and only quarterback of the 2021 class, Charles Wright. Fans were pretty perplexed when they first heard Charles Wright got signed at QB. He's not going to impress you with his size, but watch his tape. He has awesome throw power and that ball zips. It's impressive. He can make those outside throws. He can run out of the pocket and turn around and laser it across the field. Don't sleep on old Charlie W. AJ Milwee and Sark will have fun with him during his development. If you take 4 and 5 stars every single class, then you're going to end up dealing with QB transfers left and right. Get a quarterback with solid tangibles and then spruce up his game. We will have him in the QB room for 4 years. He's a local kid from Austin High. He can be a solid scout QB for us early on because he can make all the throws, and he could legitimately compete for a gig later on. Mac Jones was a 3-star when Sark first got a hold of him. And now we have reached the final offensive recruit. Max MERRIL is an offensive tackle from Strake Jesuit in Houston. He has good size coming in at 6'4" and 273 pounds. He requires development to start, but most people do. Plus, he has a good motor, drives his defenders off the ball, and continues to eliminate them from the play. He goes for the pancake when he can, and he's willing to sacrifice his body on cut blocks. His aggression is apparent, and that'll be needed to play for Kyle Flood. He will be good for depth in practice early on. And that's a wrap for offense. We have just one last player to mention on special teams. You know this wouldn't be a Texas football team without an Australian punter. Isaac Pearson is a punter out of Pro Kick Australia, where we have sourced our previous 2 punters. I have no tape on him, but if he's half as good as Dixon, we'll be fine. And we finally have a coach that doesn't actively talk down to special teams players. I can't think of a dumber strategy as a coach than to openly disrespect special teams while crying you need to improve at special teams. Jeff Banks will get to work with Isaac and supercharge the special teams unit. Now we are all done with each and every recruit for the 2021 class. It was pretty feast or famine, with Coach Kwiatkowski and Jeff Banks the biggest winners, with a large haul of defensive ends and outside linebackers as well as tight ends. Offensive line was the weakest performer by far, due to only pulling in 2 recruits. And I like both of these O-line recruits. It's solely a reflection on Herb Hand's dereliction of duty. Thank God we have Kyle Flood now. Sark said in the National Signing Day press conference he was holding 4 more scholarships open. They didn't close out the class just to say they did. Now we will go into the portal to fill out the remaining spots. We also lost a lot of transfers this year. Our notable losses are as follows. Keontae Ingram was the biggest loss when he headed out to USC with the gang of Texas coaches already out there. The 100-yard landlord, Xavion Alford, also transferred to USC. I was excited about him at safety. The hits kept coming when Jaquindon Jackson transferred to Utah. He is an excellent team guy and an athlete. Utah is lucky to have him. Former 5-star Jalen Green dipped out as well to Mississippi State following the season. That hurt our cornerback depth. I would have liked to keep Jalen as well. Best of luck to him. We have other kids in the portal without a destination yet, so I'm only going to mention the transfers that successfully completed their transfers. But for the kids we lost, we gained a few notable transfers as well. We picked up Ray Thornton, an outside linebacker from LSU that was a nice grab. He can play on the line and does a good job off the edge. He's a 6'3" former 4-star out of Killeen, so he's back home in Texas. This is another score for PK. He could give us instant play. We picked up Ovia Gufo from Notre Dame. He's a 6'3", 215-pound outside linebacker. He will provide depth and maturity at the position. He comes from a great program and is used to doing it the right way. Seriously, PK has all the recruits. The transfer I'm most excited for is man corner Darian Dunn from McNeese State. He's 6'1", 192 pounds, but plays with ferocity. We had some issues with corners' physicality lately, and Darian Dunn can help us solve that. He fights wide receivers every single play, is a total pest, and he will pick you off. Keep an eye on Darian. I like him a lot. All right, that's all the transfers in and out for this year so far. For those of you still with me, I wanted to give you a little preview of the 2022 class and then talk about some of our biggest whiffs this recruiting cycle due to the dysfunction plaguing our program. First score was landing 5-star quarterback Malik Murphy out of Cali. This is my favorite quarterback in the 2022 class because he has that it factor. First, let's talk about his skills. Malik has a rocket arm with a lot of the same features Patrick Mahomes introduced. Malik can throw no-look passes, he can throw from several arm angles, hell, he even did a backflip before a throw one time. Malik doesn't have much experience due to his junior season getting canceled in Cali due to COVID, but I'm not a fan of dinging people for something they can't control. But he still ended up with a 5th star due to his stellar camp performances. He's got all the tools needed in an elite quarterback. He makes 70-yard throws with ease, can be accurate on each throw level, and can improvise out of the pocket. And he possesses great leadership skills. But the most important thing about Malik is that he's intelligent. He can anticipate throws and make the right reads. Some persnickety scouts might not believe in Malik without the tape, but every kid at the camps around him seemed to believe in him. He has a funny, laid-back personality that reminds me a lot of Vince Young. He puts his teammates around him at ease, but he's deadly serious when it comes to his game. Malik is a popular guy in Cali, and he's looking to bring a squad of 4-star and 5-star talent with him. He is the best choice as an early quarterback because he is so connected and active on social. Welcome to the team, Malik. Happy to have you. Next up is our top running back in the 2022 class. Stan Drayton made a huge play in pulling the top running back in Texas in Jaden Blue. The league ain't ready for a Jaden Blue, Bijan Robinson 1-2 punch. This kid has power, finesse, and acceleration. He rushed for 200 yards in 6 of his games this season. He's projected as an early NFL draft pick in his junior year of high school. He can adjust his run style to match the situation, which displays concept mastery. He's a great kid to have as an early commit to build the class around, and he's already going to work on Twitter to bring in more recruits. He clearly believes in Stan, Sark, and Kyle Flood to make sure he can shine. Evan Stewart is a 4-star wide receiver from Frisco Liberty and the number 5 receiver in the nation. This kid is about 10 people ahead of him for a 5th star. Just know this is a very, very high 4-star. Evan is explosive and can generate chunk plays often. He's fast in space and will carve defenses up. Next, we have a great wide receiver in Armani Winfield out of Louisville. He's effective behind the line as well as a deep threat. 6'2", 180 right now with time to grow. Armani is the number 12 wide receiver in the nation currently and a nice early commit to have. Our fourth 2022 commit is cornerback Jalen Gilbo from Memorial in Port Arthur. He's the number 14 corner in the class, with other recruiting services having him as high as 9. He has great length and it helps him to disrupt the pass. He isn't scared to hit either. He projects as an NFL pick if he's developed properly. And our last commit, at least at the time of writing this video, is 3-star linebacker Travell Johnson from Arlington Martin. He had the best commitment video I've seen. It was heartfelt and original. This is a very bright kid and he will do good things far beyond his football career. Easily could end up being a glue guy because he's all about the team. The 2022 class is looking solid in its infancy, but more excitement lies around the potential commits yet to sign. First, let's get the Quinn Ewers elephant out of the room. If Quinn wants to decommit and come to Texas, that's fine and he will be welcome, but I don't want to waste any energy here. If it happens, it happens. I like Malik more due to his off-the-field qualities and a higher ceiling. Malik is the quarterback of this class in my opinion. Quinn is an incredible talent and I wish the best for him regardless of the outcome. Now let's get into some crystal ball predictions leaning to us. Remember, this isn't a commitment, just showing solid interest in us over other programs. Here's the most exciting one for me due to our talent drown at O-line. Devin Campbell is the 5-star number 1 offensive guard in the nation. He's a Texas kid out of Arlington Bowie. He is 6'4" and 295 pounds as a high school junior. He's projecting as a first-round pick in the NFL. This kid really has it all. He's quick and he can chase down blocks on the second level with ease. If it's the run game, he's going to embarrass you with his power and skill. Kyle Flood, you gotta bring Devin Campbell home to us. An early commit here would be excellent as well, to signal to the other offensive lineman talent throughout the nation that they can actually return to Texas and develop. Next up is the number 4 safety in the nation. Bryce Anderson is out of Beaumont, and he's a high-level athlete on the back end of the defense. He's fast as hell, and he has top-tier instincts and field awareness. He can work in zone and man, and can be used creatively due to his varied skill set. Let's get Bryce locked up and lock up another safety to complement him. Luckily, we actually already have another safety leaning our way in Landon Hullaby. He's a 4-star safety out of Mansfield Timberview. Landon is a great athlete and fast in coverage. He consistently disrupts passes and intercepts them. Landon might be my favorite prospect because I enjoy his playstyle so much. Christopher Ross is a 265-pound, 6'3" defensive tackle. He's pretty mean. He bullies offensive linemen and makes it look like it's almost a real fight. He slams QBs and running backs to the ground for bonus points. He's not ranked yet, but that's because he's starting to pop right now. Bo Davis has got to check in sooner or later, and this is a great developmental prospect. Next up is 3-star offensive tackle Connor Robinson from Westlake. He's 6'4" and 300 pounds already, so he has the body to play, but Kyle will need to develop him into his potential. Seems likely he will commit as a hometown kid, but there's no guarantee on these recruiting streets. Alright, that's the crystal ball predictions for us, so here's a list of names you should keep an eye on for recruiting nerds. I'm not going in depth here because there's no guarantee we get any of them. This is purely speculation at this point. Bear Alexander is a 5-star defensive tackle out of Denton Ryan. We were heavy in the mix until his recent surprise commitment to Georgia. This is a player you do not give up on. Denver Harris was a very early target for us even prior to Sark's arrival. He's a 5-star cornerback from North Shore. We made progress early, but communications have been less than prominent lately. His commitment would get Terry Joseph some recruiting buzz. Cam Dewberry is a 6'4", 313-pound, 4-star offensive tackle out of Humble, Texas. He flirts with UT a lot on social and talks with Malik Murphy as well. Cam is looking likely, and that would be a nice grab for Kyle Flood. Like I said, no guarantees. Faison Wilson became a familiar name to Texas fans when he decommitted after Quinn did. 4-star wide receiver from Lancaster. But he's been at the camps with Malik lately, and he likes to drop hints about potentially recommitting. We'll see. Of course, there are way more names out there as possibilities, but these are the guys I really want, and they actually have direct connections to the program already. Those are the major names you need to look at right now, as many more are coming in. This is Sark's first class with his recruiting-focused coaches. A top 5 class is reasonable here. In fact, I expect it. Look for Kyle Flood to start making moves ASAP on shoring up the offensive line in 2022. 22 is off to a bang, but the momentum must continue in order for us to secure a top 5 class. Now let's get into some of our biggest recruiting failures in 2021. This is all on the previous coaching staff, trust me. Tommy Brockermeyer is a Texas legacy who was a sure thing. until Herman mismanaged the situation, disrespected the younger brother by initially offering him a walk-on spot, and then displayed dismal O-line performance during the season. Kyle Flood and Sark swooped in at Bama and stole the brothers, 100% self-inflicted wound. Billy Bowman is probably the saddest miss in my opinion. He's a Denton Ryan kid and he's electric. Any team would be happy to have him. We didn't perform during the season, he didn't vibe with Herman, and his girlfriend is going to OU. It hurts worse knowing OU made a great steal to get him. Billy would have been a major difference maker for us, and now we are going to have to defend against him for the next 3 years minimum. Austin Uke is the offensive tackle that chose Stanford over us on signing day. A bummer because we are in desperate need of O-line depth, and I thought we could get him even coming in late with Sark. For the best soap opera of the recruiting season, let's turn to LJ Johnson, the number 4 running back in the country that had a long drawn-out recruitment between us and A&M. It lasted until the final moment, and he ultimately chose to go with A&M. They have great O-line play, and they're ready to compete today. In any other functional year, this would have been an early commit for Texas, another guy we shot ourselves in the foot on. Alright, those were some of the most embarrassing recruiting losses we took this year. But yet, here we are, with a great new staff, a roster of already talented kids, with some talented kids coming in. This is truly the start of the Sarkisian era, and recruiting will improve significantly with the utmost haste.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
But we got one last program to talk about, the walk-on program. What YouTuber do you know providing in-depth content about a walk-on program? Texas Homer, that's who. Sark nabbed some notable names for the walk-on program. It's important to have a competitive walk-on program and not a charity team for rich legacy parents whose kids aren't that good but still want to play football. Sark nabbed 2 players off the Austin Westlake State Championship team. Michael Taffy is the corner that made that sick interception in the game, along with running back Zane Miners. Another big flex from Sark was pulling California QB Cole Lord from LSU. LSU offered him an actual scholarship, and he turned it down to play for free at Texas. That's wild and big dog status for Sark. He has 3 stars and he's 6'2", 220 pounds, and perfect for the walk-on program. Also adds more depth/stability to the quarterback room. Sark is making sure we have a competitive program from top to bottom. Walk-ons have heart, and they can push more talented, lazy players to shape up and use their gifts. Or they can even become a starter one day themselves. Alright, you're up to speed on everything 2021, recruits, transfers, and even walk-ons. Plus I threw in a little 2022 recruiting class preview for the hardcores. Which recruits and transfers are you most excited about? And what positions do we have to solidify in the 2022 class? Watch more of my videos here, and as always, like and subscribe. Hook 'em.